listening to the Agent Survival Guide podcast, a podcast for today's insurance agents. Informing, educating, empowering, improving the way you do business in an industry that's anything but static. In today's episode, we've talked about insurance agents having an online presence for quite some time now. What once was a nice to have became a must have. In fact, over the past few years, the web has continued to evolve, and we've been required to make more adjustments in how we show up online. Today, winning online is just as important to our marketing strategy as ever. Erin Kassover from AgentMethods is back to talk about what that means for agents. We are joined by Erin Kassover from AgentMethods. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've had you here. So for those listeners who are just joining us for the first time, can you give us a brief background on yourself and how AgentMethods came to be?
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's been about 2 years. So I am the founder and CEO of AgentMethods, and we came to be, it's scary to say this. We launched our platform in 2009. We started building in 2008, and in 2008, I was part of a consulting firm that was working with insurance carriers.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other side of the world, doing similar work, marketing work, online marketing work for insurance carriers, lots of names we'd recognize. And just going about my day, about my career. And one day, one of those companies gave me a phone call and asked if I knew of anybody who did the kinds of things I'm doing for them, but for agents. Okay. And I just said no, hung up the phone, went back to work. And then the next morning woke up and had this sort of wait a second. There's a real need here. And everything I was learning working with carriers was both how important the agents were and also how little they were or could do to help agents. And I realized that that's where the value is. That's where there's a huge opportunity to really connect with the American consumers and to bring online technology to the industry. And so I called up that client the next day and said, hey, if we had something, would you bring it to your agents? And he said, get out your calendar. When can we schedule the demo with them? And of course, this is the next day. I said, give me a little time. I got to go to work. And so we went to work and built the first version of AgentMethods. Very simple website platform for agents at that point. Mm-hmm. And since then, we're getting towards 7,000 websites that we've taken live for agents. And we release new features, new updates to our software several times a week. Almost every day, something new rolls out. Sometimes it's a small improvement, sometimes it's a big improvement. We had some really big improvements this year. And the cumulative effect of all of those changes is the software it's become a pretty substantial platform. 2009, it was super simple. And I'm really proud today in 2025, there really is no better way for an agent to run their business online, to take their business online than AgentMethods.
I think you have done quite a bit, like you've said, even from the first time I think I researched your company back in 2017, 2018, that was really when websites were not a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
You have come so far since then. And I would honestly say, I think you guys are known for really innovative agent tech solutions, but also really being able to bring that information and the ease of use to the agent. How do you decide where you focus your efforts as far as what you decide to kind of go into next, or how you plan to make more robust features?
There's so much to do. It's amazing how far we've come, and yet I look at what could be. We could have probably multiple hour conversations about AI, and the good and the bad and the potential and what's working and what's not. But there's so much to do. And The funny thing is that often less is more. We look at companies like Apple and, there's this sort of belief of Steve Jobs as being this amazing innovator and technology designer. And a big part of what he did was simplify things, make it easier. And, instead of 2 buttons on a mouse, Apple has 1. And that discipline of making things easier is really hard, but also really important. And so a lot of what we think about is how can we help agents make their lives easier? What can we do not to create more buttons and bells and whistles, but to simplify your day and ultimately free up your time? Because any time that's not spent helping a customer or prospect with their insurance needs is not optimized time.
Right.
And so if we can simplify something and reduce some work off of an agent's day so they can help our customers or provide a better level of service to those customers, that one-on-one interaction, there's a win there.
Yeah.
And so that's what drives us. Almost, how can we reduce the buttons, make it simple?
Yeah. We are a big fan of one click. How can we do things in one click?
Yes, exactly.
So recently, you mentioned a little bit about AI. Recently, what else have you noticed? What has been changing that has affected your focus and kind of where you're putting your attention and your effort?
Well, CMS there's a curveball every year.
They keep us on our toes.
The annual curveball. And by the way, we don't need to talk about CMS too much, but I really believe in the importance of protecting our customers, our consumers. And sometimes it's frustrating what CMS does, but ultimately I see it as, we're on the same page, that we're trying to help Medicare beneficiaries, help American consumers stay protected. So
Right.
That said, there are curveballs and surprises, and that certainly changes things. This year, talking with agents, we are hearing something different than the past. Last year, in previous years going into AEP, there was so much focus on growth. How do I have time to talk to more customers? How do I find new prospects? And this year we're hearing there's so much change in my customers. I need to make sure I talk to them. If they're losing their plan or if there's a big change in their benefits, I don't have time during AEP just to meet with all my customers, so I'm afraid of losing them. That's driving shifts right now. And really thinking about how do we help agents connect with their customers, but also maintain strong relationships so that when that bomb drops in a customer's mailbox in the form of an ANOC or something else, that customer knows that their agent is there to help them.
Right.
There's big changes there.
There have been quite a few legislative changes that, like you said, for an agent to have that many people that they need to see within that short enrollment period, that is a very difficult task depending on how many people show up on that list and how they can work through that, but then also have themselves available, obviously, if they want to grow, to be able to take on new business, or even just as people are having questions in their community, to be able to answer those questions and be that community resource.
Right.
Yeah.
So the role of a website, there's been a lot of focus before around things like SEO. How do you rank in search engines, and how do you get new people to find you? And that doesn't go away, of course. But there's, I think, a bigger role, because today's Medicare consumer is digital. They use the web in their life all day long. They use it to interact with their doctors and pharmacies and to manage their finances and their retirement. These are pretty complicated things where you have to be, pretty comfortable with technology to do this stuff. Our customers do that. So we have to think about your website not just as a discovery tool, but also as a customer relationship and a customer service tool.
Right. It has to evolve. And I think we've seen that, because I remember just in the beginning of when I started, we were trying to have that conversation of, you need a website. Agents need to have a website. And that has definitely shifted as we've shifted through from, not to get too in the weeds, but from web 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0, and how each of those stages really has a different evolution of how we act and behave online.
Right. Are we on 4.0 now or 3.0?
I think 3.0, but I think 4.0 is coming, although I'm not sure it's so well defined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who decides? I don't know.
Not me.
Sometimes I hear from agents things like, I don't need a website. Still, there's still that idea out there. And sometimes agents will say, I got a website and, I didn't get any leads from it, so I'm canceling it. And the analogy I think about is like, if nobody was calling your phone, would you just cancel your phone and say phones don't work?
No,
right?
We wouldn't do that. Right.
Yeah. Phones work. Phone works. Now you have to get your number out to people and give them a reason to call you as opposed to somebody else. But if you don't have a phone today, you're out of business.
Yeah.
And really the same thing is true with the web. If you don't have a website today, you're in your prospect's eyes, you're out of business. If they If they
Yeah.
can't find you online, then they're going to move on to somebody else.
Right. Because that's the first place that everybody looks. And I think that has changed over the years. I mean, that was back in the day, it was the phone book. And now I would say more so, it's definitely going to Google, or even with some of these voice assistants, you mentioned AI, asking them to find a local insurance agent near me. And, are you going to show up in that response or not?
Right.
Yeah.
That agent near me. So now we're starting to see Google's AI is actually recommending agents. And they will not just give you a list of agents near you, but they might say, well, this agency is a good one to call. And
how does it determine which agency is a good agency to call?
Some kind of black magic. No, I think it's the same. We're seeing this in our customers' businesses where they're starting to get in that AI recommended box at the top. And it's the same things as the agent near me. So there's context of location. Are they truly near you? And no tricks. Don't get a mailbox, in some foreign, faraway community and hope that you can rank there. They catch you. And do you have the right kinds of words on your website? So do you talk about the services that they're needing? They can get the keywords. And then reviews. Having online reviews that show that others are getting good service from you. And reviews that you gain consistently over time, not just one big burst, but showing that, every month or every week or every couple of days, there's a new review showing up.
Yeah, that you are consistently in business. You are somebody that can be counted on. And I think that is discoverability was just, name in a phone book. We have developed layers to that. Now, you had mentioned the whole concept of a 2 sales methodology with this idea that there are 2 parts to this, and agents are often only handling one part of it. So how does that relate back to this idea of discoverability and leading all the way through the sale?
Yeah, so we think our job is to sell insurance, right? That we're in the job of insurance sales. And I'd argue that we're not, that we're in the job of selling our service and our value. And that if we succeed there, then selling insurance is sort of a byproduct of that. Getting somebody to the right product and meeting their needs is just what happens after that. But before you get to that appointment to talk to somebody about which policy is right, there's a process that they go through to decide whether or not they want to work with you. And before they call you, before they fill out the form on your website, before they make an appointment, they have to evaluate whether or not you're the person they want to work with. And there's a process that customers go through. This happens with referrals, and this happens with leads that you buy or get online. This even happens with existing customers, with renewals. When enrollment comes up, they have to decide if they're going to talk to you again or go somewhere else. And that process really happens largely online today, where an example is a referral. If, Sarah, if you decided to move to Seattle and you called me up and said, hey, I need a realtor, I'm going to give you a couple of names, you're going to, well, what would you do? Let me ask you, if I gave you a name of a realtor in Seattle, what would you do?
First thing I would do is go online, Google their name, see what realtor are they with, how long have they been a realtor, if they have a website, check out their website, maybe see how long they've been doing this, check out the areas that they are more likely to sell in, the types of houses that they're selling and listing, what other people are saying about them, and whether or not people are having good experiences with them, especially like if it's the realtor side. That can be really challenging. You can look at more than one house. So are there people raving about how, oh my gosh, this is such a difficult process, they made it so easy? A lot of those different things. Now, I tend to get a little bit probably more carried away in the Googling than other people might. But if it's a realtor situation, I mean, that's a house. That's a big investment. That's important to do your due diligence there.
Right.
So how much more so are people going to do that if it's their health or their retirement? Right.
And it might be a very conscious thing. Like I have a checklist I'm going to review and compare on. Or it might be a subconscious thing where I just need to get their phone number. But was that an easy process? Could I find them? Did I have to dig around? And in that subconscious, if while they're looking for your phone number because they were referred to you, they see things that reinforce your professionalism and help them trust you. That helps them form a picture, whether they plan it or not. They are forming a picture of what it's like to work with you. So in the case of a referral with insurance, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing that goes on where people are told to talk to this agent. They just fire up Google and type in that person's name and they go there. One is just to get your phone number to contact you, but two is to make sure that you sell the right things, that you sell to people like them, that, it's not a P&C agency if they're looking for health insurance. So they're going to want to go and see people like them on your website. They're going to want to go see people like them have written reviews about you. They're going to want to go look at your social media and see that you're posting stuff that they care about. That's not something totally different. It's not like about small businesses or other things that don't relate to them. And that process is how they form this first opinion of you, this level of trust. And if you get it right, they're going to say, okay, this is the right agent. They sell to people like me. People like me are endorsing them. I've found interesting stuff in their Facebook profile or Instagram that relates to me. We can talk about social media. They're probably not going to follow you or like stuff. They're just going to go quickly look at it. But if they have a bunch of head nods and yeses, they're going to walk into that meeting about products pretty much ready to buy. And if the answer is no to any of those questions, if it's not people like them, if there's no third-party endorsements, if the social media stuff is missing or hasn't been updated in 6 years, you'll never even know you lost the sale.
Yeah.
They won't call and tell you, hey, I'm not going to meet with you because I didn't like your website. I'm not going to meet with you because nobody's reviewing on Google Business. They're just going to move on to the next agent. And this is happening with referrals. It's happening with leads that you're buying. It's happening with renewals. We see that 76% of people visit a business's website before visiting in person. And this is true of existing relationships as well as new. So during AEP, when things are crazy busy, you can expect that about 3/4 of your meetings today are going online to look you up.
Right.
What they find will make that meeting you have tomorrow easy or hard.
Yeah. And it's funny how you mentioned social media, even just having a social media profile that you can double check that the person that you found and their information, that picture matches this person to make sure this is definitely the person I want to talk to. That is huge. And like you said, what you find there that can make or break the sale, but they're not going to, say, sorry, I'm calling to let you know you missed out on me.
Right.
That was your bad. Now, when we think about this kind of stuff, I think sometimes we don't always think in reverse, and sometimes it can be helpful to do that. So what do we need to be thinking about if we want somebody to be able to clearly find us online, to be able to check all of those boxes? What do we need to be thinking about, and how can we have that really great impression?
Well, first, let's make sure we understand the opportunity here. Thinking about reverse, we're all investing so much in our businesses and our marketing and trying to support our customers and grow our sales. And what I've seen is that many agents have enough leads already. They're just not winning the first appointment enough. And so there's a good chance to see referrals go up, to see the number of leads that you buy actually call you back go up. And that you might not need to spend as much on marketing and leads as you think, because if you can win that first appointment, just a higher percentage of those will show up to a meeting. And then more of those will buy. So there's a big upside here. There's a big upside. Now, the pieces that you need to have, we kind of went through them before. Your website is your home base. That's the online real estate that you get to control. And there's some simple things to do, like making sure that it's updated. It doesn't say copyright 2023 in the footer. Start there. Make sure there are pictures of people that look like your customers. You might have a building that you built and you might love it, but that's not what your customers want to see on the homepage. So show people like them so they know, oh, this is a business that works with people like me. The About Me or About Us page, we see that's usually the second most visited page on our website.
I enjoy that page. I really do.
It's a place to have a little fun, but it's also a place to show people who you are.
Yeah.
And especially with insurance, it's a personal thing. And so you want to know who you're working with. If you're a consumer, you want to go and see your agent's photo. You don't need to be a model or a movie star. You need to be a real person. But they want to just, know who you are, know why you sell insurance, what you bring, what's your perspective, and also a little bit about you besides that. They're interested in your history, your hobbies, your family, because that's what makes us feel connected.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of that stuff in there that just reading about some of those things can, like you said, make you want to say, yes, I like this. That's
Mhm.
really cool. They have a dog or they work for the same nonprofit category that I like to support.
Right.
And that's something that I don't know that we always think about in terms of that content.
The office dog is always going to crush it on Instagram.
Yeah.
If you have an office dog, once a month, go on Instagram and put a photo on there because people love that stuff.
Yeah.
And
we have channels dedicated specifically in our chats to our pets. So
yeah, and that makes us feel connected to the businesses we work with. We get to see that behind the scenes stuff. So definitely do that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I did want to get into, maybe before we get back to the review portion of this, because I think that's one that we haven't talked about too much. Every time you are here on the podcast, you have a Thanksgiving story.
I know where you're going.
I feel like there should be another Thanksgiving story that can relate to something that we're talking about here.
Yes. So I picked on my dad before.
Mm-hmm.
And today, Mom, I love you. I'm going to pick on you. My parents are, they're both retired, and I won't give their ages, but they're over 65 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And so Thanksgiving's a great time to go see the family and talk and hear funny things. And visiting my mom last year, she lives in Colorado. I live in Seattle, so we're not neighbors. We don't see each other a lot. I asked her a question. I asked her who she bought her Medicare plan from.
Okay.
Who was her agent? And you know what her agent's name is? It's Julie's friend.
Oh.
Now, the good news here is that Julie's friend did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Julie told her to call her friend, and Julie's friend came and sat down with her and walked through, everything she needed to know, explained everything, took care of her.
Mm-hmm.
Julie's friend,
what you want from a referral. That's great.
Right. What Julie's friend didn't do well is stay in touch after the sale. And that's why her name is Julie's friend, because my mom does not remember her name.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of thinking about, as an agent, is your job to be a sales rep of a bunch of carriers to sell products, or is it to be a business owner to develop long-term relationships with your clients? And it's the second. It's to be a business owner. That you might make a sale, but you need to keep a customer.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie's friend missed out here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad that the service was phenomenal. She could have potentially given a referral to how many people that were at the Thanksgiving gathering, but that didn't happen because a simple thing like remembering the actual name of the person. If you are emailing that person, if you're hitting their inbox, if you're sending them a birthday card, if you're sending them anniversary cards, things like that, they are going to remember who you are, and they'll be able to remember, here's your name. And there's a reason that is important, because we can't really Google Julie's friend, can we?
Yeah. So talking with agents, I've never met the agent that wants to provide bad service.
Oh, of course.
I've never met the agent.
Right. It's not intentional.
No. And Julie's friend did not provide bad service.
Mm-hmm.
We all want to provide good service. And I also hear agents say, well, I don't need to market to my customers or do email. Or, they're not going to my website because they already know me and love me. We have a great relationship. And that's probably true. I hope it is. Mm-hmm. There was a German psychologist in the 1800s named Hermann Ebbinghaus who studied memory. And this has been restudied and reproven. He came up with this theory of the forgetting curve. And it's pretty scary. He did these tests about how fast we forget things. And within a week, we've forgotten about 90% of what we've seen. And that's fast. Mm-hmm. And so that great service, that amazing service that we provided to a customer in AEP 2024 is a lot more than a week ago.
Right.
It's a year ago. Mm-hmm. And so if you did that great service and provided a really good job and really served that customer as well, and then moved on, you're going to become Julie's friend.
Yeah. And if you haven't done anything to stay in that person's orbit in the past year, that is going to even more so kind of cement your status as that moniker. So
as Julie's friend.
Yes.
Right. Now there's good news here. So Dr. Ebbinghaus discovered also this reinforcement with, they call it the spacing effect. If you ever use Duolingo to study language or,
I have not.
flashcards, what you'll learn is that, for a couple days, you see the same word every day. But then a week later, it's once a week. And then it becomes once a month. That with reinforcement, the amount of reinforcement needed over time decreases.
Okay.
So you don't have to constantly be re-upping that relationship. If you do a good job right away, you can start to spread it out. So a really great hack here is if we know that we have a week, you provide a great service to somebody one day. The really, really great hack is the next day, ask for a review.
Okay.
Ask them to write a review. And you get a double benefit here. One is you reach out to them and they're reminded, they stop and think, oh yeah, I had a great interaction with this agent yesterday. And they just remember that. And that
it's very funny that you say that, because we were at a coffee place recently on vacation, and they did that it was probably programmed into when you put your email in and paid for your order, you would be sent that little survey that says, how did we do? And it just happened to be that we had been there a couple times that week, but that particular day, it had been really busy. And it was like the morning rush hour type thing. And it was just in and out. They were fast. They were super friendly. And it was just like, they need to know that that was a really cool thing that happened. That was really good service. So, we went in and wrote that review for them. But it's interesting that you say that, because I think sometimes we maybe expect that from a standpoint of a retail situation,
right,
or from a different service, not always from insurance. Sometimes it feels a little awkward to do that. But I think we need to start thinking of that ask for that review a little bit differently.
Yeah. And maybe think of it not so transactional. You're not just trying to get them to review you. You're also reinforcing the value you provide to them. That when they think about that, when they stop and reflect on the conversation they had with you yesterday, that brings back all of that great service. And so we think about the spacing effect. That first day after, to bring that back in our mind, helps us make sure that the next year they remember your name. And then, of course, there's the review. If they then have the time and a Google account or a Facebook account, and they can click on that link and go write your review, that's a great thing as well, because now that first appointment we talked about before, you have one more person vouching for you when they go online.
Right. And I think sometimes there are things that our clients can say and put into perspective. Like, we might have an idea of what we would want a review to say, but I think sometimes hearing it from their vantage point and from their perspective, it's often a better testimonial, because it really does hit on something that your customer actually wants and values, rather than just something that you think your customer wants and what they value.
Yes. So during AEP, when you're meeting with so many people, this is a fantastic time to go and have some system in place the next day to collect those reviews.
Okay, so you say a system in place. What else do we need to go along with the strategy? Because I feel like there is something else that we need a way to capture these reviews and display them for others. How do we do that?
Yeah, so there's technology to help. AgentMethods has a system to do this, but there's technology to help, automate this so that the day after you meet with somebody, those requests go out. Because if you're busy during AEP, the last thing you need to do is remember to send those reminders out to go and do it manually.
Right.
So you want to automate that. And then as you get reviews, you're going to collect them on Facebook and Google and elsewhere. You want to have a way to showcase them. And so people will find the Google ones. If they search for you in Google, Google does a great job of showcasing those. But on your website also, if you can pull in cross-platform, these testimonials, the voices of your customers, especially if they're recent. If I'm on your website to meet with you tomorrow and I'm checking you out and I see that yesterday somebody wrote a review about you, talking about the exact same thing I'm going to talk about tomorrow, and that review's good, I'm going to get pretty excited. It's like, oh, wow, they did this yesterday and that person was really happy. If that review was from 7 years ago, not as much.
Yeah, not so much.
So definitely you want to showcase these.
So is there a way, you mentioned you have a solution, the Agent Methods has a text solution. Is there a way to pull in from the other areas? Because like you said, Google, super easy to see those if they're left there, but there are so many other review platforms. How do you pull those from different platforms and get them to a point where they display in one place?
Yeah, so certainly that's something we do in our platform. We have a way to create, we call it a review showcase. And we pull in your reviews from different platforms so you can see them all, and then you just decide which ones you want to showcase on your website.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if they're Facebook or Google or somewhere else. You can put them all in one place.
That's pretty cool because, quite honestly, I think similar to not really always knowing what it is that our clients want to talk about or what they value, I think knowing what platform they're on, for us, that's easy because we're kind of on the marketing side of things. We have the analytics. I think for insurance agents, it's a little bit more limited knowledge to be able to do that. And who wants to be doing a deep dive on those analytics when your focus is selling insurance?
Yes.
So to be able to pull from all those different areas and then kind of get an idea too of where, all right, if we're seeing a lot of reviews here, that's a good place where you can possibly be posting and doing things. But just to make sure that you have a presence where you need to have one in order to be found. Because if you're getting a lot of that interaction on Facebook, that's awesome. But if people aren't able to search and see that, then you're losing out on the potential benefit that those are giving you.
Definitely.
How exactly do agents get started with that solution from Agent Methods?
The review management system is built into our platform.
Okay.
And we've touched a bit on what our platform does. We started with websites. We've added email marketing, and we have a really, really cool approach to email marketing in that you don't have to start with a blank field. We have a library of cross-marketing emails and relationship emails that are available to use and automate. We have social media posts, and we have a curated library of content that you can use to keep your social channels engaging and active, and you can also automate those. We have a monthly email newsletter that we send out, which I haven't talked about that, but I am so bullish that everybody listening to this should be sending an email newsletter out to their clients every single month, and do not ever miss a month until you retire, because that makes sure that you stay in front of your customers in a good, positive, engaging way every month. And it builds that habit of learning from you. So we have an email platform, and we have a scheduling system that was built specifically for AEP, but we use it for healthcare, open enrollment, turning 65, other kinds of appointments where you want to go meet with people and automate that. And so these are all bundled into the software that we build. And agentmethods.com is where you can go learn about that. The best thing agents should do, if you're thinking about winning that first appointment, if you're thinking about how do you make sure that customers contact you, that you get more of those referrals and those leads into your pipeline, don't become Julie's friend. To go to agentmethods.com, and you can schedule a time to talk with us, and we'll really drill down into your business, your market, what you're doing, and help you build a plan to put this all to work for you.
Okay. And we will have some of those links in the episode notes so that it's a little bit easier to find. Aaron, is there anything else that you would like to mention here today? Any final thoughts or a takeaway that you really want agents to remember?
I said it briefly that you probably have more leads in your funnel than you realize. And growing our business is something we're all focusing on. The easy solution is just to go and spend more, to go get more leads. I think there's a huge opportunity to make sure that those referrals that didn't call you, get them to call you. Those leads that you buy that you just can't get on the phone, find a way to get them on the phone. And it's that first appointment. If you can win that first appointment, if you can get those prospects to see that you are the right person to talk to, that you can solve their needs, you're going to see opportunities show up at a rate that you never saw before.
Right. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for your time today and for talking with us about Agent Methods solutions and how we can really take these into this coming AEP and even further beyond that to try to make sure that we are doing the best that we can do on our end to make sure that clients can find us and to make sure that we can help as many people as possible.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me. It's great to talk to you.
Special thanks again to Aaron Kassover for the interview. To learn more about the marketing strategies we talked about today, be sure to visit the episode notes. There, you'll find links to AgentMethods' official site, information on their tech solutions for agents, and more episodes like this to add to your listening queue. Thanks so much for listening. We will see you next episode. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an Integrity company. Special thanks to our guest, Aaron Kassover. Recording and production by me, Sarah Ruppel. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Artwork by Tina Lamoureux. Like, follow, rate, and review our show wherever you get your podcasts.